is a brand new menu that is called Launchpad, and this is where you can just go ahead and add your different ELF and bin files, and you could just hit one button and you could launch them. And there was another screenshot that was shared here in that not only is there the Launchpad where you can list the payloads to be launched manually, but there is an auto run queue, and that is where you list the payloads that you want to be launched automatically. Now, it is pretty cool that they have this feature, which is hold L1 during boot to skip. It would be cool if some of the PS5 autoloaders started taking advantage of something such as this. So if we scroll down into the description, what we can see in the changelog is that he stated added payloader, launchpad, and auto run support, and that they fixed this service initialized failure that was happening on ELF payloads. Now, they did state here to add a custom icon, place a PNG file in the same directory as your payload, using the exact same name followed by the PNG extension. So if you want to take advantage of this new feature and maybe you have a test.bin, just make your image test.bin.png. And again, this is a beta, and if you want to go ahead and get started with this, then you can put 0 in here or a donation and hit Get Now. Now, let's go ahead and switch over to some pretty big PlayStation 5 news. So we have been hearing all about this tool that is out that is called MicroMill. Now, this is under the developer PS Brew here, and what we can see in the about is that it auto-detects and mills compressed PFF images. So these are the .ff, PS, ELF-C, and if you're wondering what that stands for, it is fast file, and then the PlayStation file system, and then compressed, and exposed then to other PS5 Homebrew components. So if we scroll down into the project and look at the README here, it says that MicroMount is a PS5 payload that continuously scans configured folders for those images and mounts them automatically into managed mount points. So it looks like it would be fairly easy to get started. There's some configuration in here with Shadow Mount Plus and obviously a couple of scripts in order to get your games into this image here. Now, one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting was that there is already some testing that Speed007 has been doing. And one of the things that they noted here was that Dragon Ball Z went from 44 gigabytes to 9 gigabytes, and then Jurassic World 3 went from 21 gigabytes to 14 gigabytes. So this is something you're probably going to be hearing more and more folks talk about. Again, you can come over here into the releases and go ahead and follow this quick start guide if you want to take a look at that. Next up, a little bit more PlayStation 5 news here, and this one is from Stoned Modder, which has a tool out that is called GhostPad. And so GhostPad over here is a PS5 payload for virtual controller creation and input redirection. And so if we take a look at the README here, what we can see is that this is a PS5 virtual DualSense that is running over TCP, remote control a jailbroken PlayStation 5 from any PC using the keyboard, mouse, or a real controller without needing the PlayStation Network, Remote Play, or any official Sony software. So GhostHead app is a Windows desktop app for controlling a jailbroken PS5 over your local network. It sends virtual DualSense input to the PS5 and includes macro recording, keyboard and mouse controls. Now, that could be pretty interesting, especially if you were training this up after a jailbreak, as well as gamepad pass-through and optional beeper and LED tools. So that's kind of neat. You could do things like dim the LEDs, and for the beeper, you can also make this a little bit softer if you would like. So anyways, if you would like to go ahead and get started with this, as always, the links are in the description below. Next up, let's take a look at a project by itsplk, and this one is called PS5 Payload Manager. Now, I have already shared this on the show before. this is absolutely what I'm using currently to manage my payloads. We can see that it says PS5 Payload Manager, a modern web-based dashboard to easily manage, import, and automatically load payloads on your PlayStation 5. And here is a quick little screenshot of it, and you can see there's a dashboard where you can launch the payloads, you can manage the payloads, or auto-load them if you would like. So anyways, there is a whole number of different features as well as how to use an autoloader, but I did notice that 2 days ago we got a 0.20, and in this one we can see that there is a bunch of feature in UX improvements here. So sidebar state persistence, the settings page was redesigned, and then a couple of other navigation enhancements and polish. So we can see things like directory cleanup, empty directories are now automatically cleaned up, as well as USB payload loading. The CI/CD system is now a little bit better. But anyways, if you want to go ahead and take advantage of this new version, you should absolutely do so. Now, next up, I want to talk about KStuff because we're at a very interesting time, and that is that with KStuff Lite version 1.07, trophy support has been added. And so just the other day, I was taking a look at the trophy support, and anyways, it is pretty neat, but now you can get these little pop-up trophies in our games, and in this example, I was using my PlayStation 5 12.00, but yeah, anything that is using KStuff Lite 1.07, you now have the ability to get trophies. And so not only did you get a new version of KStuff Lite 1.07 beta, but also we got Dump Installer 1.06 beta. Now, while we all know and love this version of KStuff, which is by EchoStretch, there is also another developer whom you know very well, obviously Drakmore, who does the Shadow Melt Plus. They have a version of KStuff Lite that you might want to play around with as well. So anyways, I love giving you different options. So far, I have been sticking with EchoStretch's version here, but I did try this 1 or 2 times, and anyways, one of the things that at least this developer is stating is that this one has been significantly optimized for performance, so 3 to 4 times faster. So totally the choice is yours. Now, with that same developer, we also got another version of Shadow Mount Plus, and this is 1.6 Test 15, thanks to, and this fixed some of the issues with mounting, and that this one added by itself experimental support for those same images that we were talking about just a little while ago, and they even state here, do not use this with MicroMount. Now, you can take a look at some of the other versions that they've had, and you'll see that with each version of this, there is all kinds of new experimental things that are coming out. I believe right now on my stable 12.0 system, I am just using this version right here, which is Test 11. Now, moving on to more PlayStation 5 news, we did hear from this person, Jordy, and what they stated was that fake package for PS5 is coming soon. Now, I know what most of you are probably wondering, who is this person? And this is a developer that is in the scene, and that this is probably something that is going to come true. Now, if you come back over to their name, you can see they follow some of the people, I guess, that I follow. So you could see, some good names in here like EchoStretch, Dr. Yen Yan, and more. But anyways, I just wanted to call that out as you never know what's going to happen next in the scene. So next up, we have got a project that is called PS5 Debug NG. And if we look at the About section over here, it says PS5 Debugger Payload, Userland TCP Wire Protocol server hosted inside SCE Shell Core. And so this is a debugger, only some supported firmwares, and some of this is not out of testing yet. But anyways, I thought I would include this in here, as I know I also have a lot of developers that watch my channel as well. So something you may want to go and take a look at. Now, the next thing that I wanted to mention was that I saw this link, and this was by Sonic ISO, and they were showing a way that you could get the PS5 SDK installed pretty easily. And so this is for Windows, but there is an install.ty script, as well as some instructions in here. But I did just want to call out that you can just install this on your own machine versus doing things like downloading one of those very large virtual machines that I see floating around. I did want to also go and call out a message that I saw from Dr. Yan Yan, and this one was on GitHub, and what it says here is that usually the PS5 has a strict requirement for PCIe 4 and will not allow the console to fully boot with anything lesser, but in the PS5 Discord, this user wrote the Netflix and hack image to his PCIe 3.0 SSD, which allowed him to format it afterward and access all the space in a usable manner to install PS4 games and even Linux from it. So anyways, if you do want to check that out, you can download this image here and just continue to follow the instructions. And also, there's always just a lot of helpful information that I found just by skimming this page here over here on GitHub. So anyways, if you do want to dig into this, please do so. Now, I thought I would leave us with some PlayStation 4 since we started with PlayStation 4, and that is that items flow for PlayStation 4 has been updated to version 1.08. I know a lot of PlayStation 4 users are loving items flow, and you absolutely should go ahead and update to the latest version. Anyways, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Michael